What have I just seen? Quite literally, what have I just witnessed at St. James's Park today? Yes, people, welcome back to another Premier League match reaction. Newcastle United 1, 10 men, Liverpool 2. I cannot believe it. Genuinely, I can't. Liverpool, a team that, let's be honest, have lost the yard since the start of last season, have come to St. James's Park, have been second best for the majority of this game, have conceded a goal after a sloppy Trent Alexander-Arnold error, have gone down to 10 men after a sloppy Van Dijk error, and playing with 10 men for the vast majority of an hour, if not longer, have come away with 3 points thanks to a man that many have forgotten, Darwin Nunez. I cannot believe it. The Premier League script, or the Barclays script, throws up another curveball. Who would have seen this coming? Darwin Nunez with an absolute beautiful double. Beautiful brace. Both goals carbon copy of each other. And the thing that surprised me the most is both goals were flat, outright clinical. And that is not a word that is synonymous with Darwin Nunez. That is not a word that I think, when I think clinical, I'm thinking that's what's in Darwin Nunez's arsenal. That's in his locker. Because the real thing is, Darwin Nunez has been synonymous with a scrappy player, with a hit and hope, with a bit of a frenzy, wild, fast and furious player. Doesn't really have much order and clinicality to his game. But those two chances, oh my days, on the money from Darwin Nunez. Right peg, right into the bottom corner every single time. You could not have placed it with your hands any better. Two beautiful finishes from Darwin Nunez. And Liverpool have won this game out of completely nowhere. Newcastle fans are in shock. I'm in shock. But this is a lesson for anyone, and in football and in life. Stay in the game. Stay in the game. Liverpool, as always, right? Liverpool have always been a team that likes to play at a fast pace, play an intense pace. But Newcastle, if anything, in recent seasons have been better than Liverpool at that, especially last season and definitely to start this season. Newcastle are a team that likes to play intense football. So Liverpool actually had to bite the bullet a bit today and sit back defensively, which is not normally what you expect from Liverpool. After going 1-0 down, obviously that was hurting, obviously, especially with Anthony Gordan scoring the goal as well. Then to go down to 10 men, losing your main centre-back and best defender, Virgil van Dijk, that's a kick in the teeth. You know you had to ride some waves, but stay in the football match. And Liverpool did exactly that. Exactly that. Because the longer the game went on, as long as your main players stayed on the pitch, Mohamed Salah, etc., of course, Nunez come onto the pitch as well, you're still dangerous. You still got a fear factor. And lo and behold, Newcastle kept missing chances. They kept wasting efforts. They kept trying to break down this 10-men Liverpool, but couldn't quite do it. And eventually the chances came on the counter-attack and Liverpool scored them. Two fantastic goals from Nunez, man. Absolutely brilliant. Mistake from Botman on the first one, I do have to say. Didn't get his feet quite sorted out. Fell to Nunez, but on his right peg, what a finish. Because Pope got his angles perfect. Pope played off the near post. He dived, but the only way that goal was going in is what happened. Nunez clipped it off the post and into the goal. It was a fantastic finish. And that second one, carbon copy, basically. Through, same position and same result. Straight into the corner again. Look, there's all this talk about how Nunez has flopped. And I agree that first season was not what we expected. I think the biggest downfall for Nunez wasn't necessarily himself. It's because of how well Erling Haaland has done. When Erling Haaland came in, it was Liverpool, Man City, the two best teams in the country, both signing a top striker. It's going to be the Haaland versus Nunez battle. And we all know how that turned out. Erling Haaland blew Nunez out the water. So I think Nunez actually has done the right thing now. He's taken a little bit of a step back and he's now focusing on himself. There's no more of these comparisons between Nunez and Haaland. That conversation is completely done. But now Nunez can build himself his own legacy at Liverpool Football Club. Look, let's not forget he's come to a brand new league. Most players take some time to adapt. What Erling Haaland did last season isn't normal. Normally you give them a season or two to really adapt to the flow of things in this league. And I think Nunez has done exactly that now. Clearly, he's worked on his finishing in the off-season because I've never seen him score 2 goals just like that. Normally, he's been synonymous with being scrappy and being poor with his finishing, not a clinical bone in his body. But today, those were 2 absolutely fantastic finishes. I couldn't believe it. So clearly, he's worked on something in the summer. And you have to say, man, Nunez has taken his chance there. And he's going to start next week for Liverpool. I'll tell you that for a fact. Nunez is starting next week for Liverpool Football Club because that was absolutely fantastic from them. To end the way they managed to win that game, it's crazy. I can't believe what I've seen. I'm actually gobsmacked. I thought genuinely at 1-0 down, I thought, yeah, it's going to be a long day for Liverpool. When they went down to 10 men and Virgil van Dijk came off the pitch, I was like, yeah, I don't give Liverpool a chance. Not a chance. I think Newcastle would run away with this. 3-4-0. I think the Liverpool are going to collapse. But they did the complete opposite. They stayed in the football match and they snatched it right at the end. Exactly what Klopp would have wanted. Let's get into some of your comments. Make sure to leave your thoughts in the live chat as well. Pure Barclays football armament says 100%, brother, man. Absolute Barclays vintage heritage Barclays football, man. The script writers couldn't have done it better themselves. That's a crazy end to the match. I still can't believe it right now. Proper resilience from Liverpool. Got to give it to them. 100%, man. Because look, when you're not at your best, the worst thing you can do is fold. I spoke earlier about how Sheffield United stayed in the game, and with 10 minutes left against Man City, they gave themselves a chance. Lo and behold, obviously, they lost that football match. But Liverpool did the same thing. They were 1-0 down, 10 men, but they stayed in that football match. They didn't cave in. They kept in it. They didn't fold like a house of cards. And when their chances came, it fell to Nunez, and boy, did he take them. It's the lesson in life and in football. Stay in the game. Don't fold too soon, man. Keep playing till the final whistle, because anything can happen. Anything at all. And Liverpool got their reward for that. Jordan, appreciate you on stream, my friend. Last 10 minutes ruined my weekend as a whole. I can't believe it either, man. I genuinely cannot believe what I've just seen here. Newcastle completely, well and truly, folded at the end. Folded. And that's not something I've been expecting from Newcastle recently. I've been giving Newcastle a lot of credit for how defensively stable they've been, if anything. They only conceded 1 goal to Man City last week as an example. They've been a very solid team. But today, the last 10 minutes against 10-men Liverpool, they folded. Mistake after mistake. The first one, Botman, don't know what he was doing, didn't get his feet sorted out. Ball goes through to Nunez and he scores it. And that second one, how you're letting 10-men Liverpool run through like that, it's beyond me. That should not take place at all. They've only got themselves to blame, really, Newcastle, because that was shocking defending to end the game. They were getting too complacent. They lost professionalism. As a whole, Newcastle, this game should have been out of sight. Newcastle should have well and truly dispatched Liverpool there. But staying in the game is what has to happen. And Liverpool did that. Think about the Alisson save in the first half. As soon as they went 1-0 down, Miguel Almiron had a fantastic strike off a corner that Alisson makes a brilliant save, tipping it onto the crossbar and out. It's little things like that. Because if that goes in and it's 2-0, I'm confident saying it's game over. It could be 3-4 and Newcastle out of sight. But do not ever fold. Do not ever get complacent as well for Newcastle. And Newcastle did. They got complacent. They thought they had it in the bag. Their fans got ahead of themselves. The players got ahead of themselves. And look what happens, man. It's football. Football's a very crazy game, man. You can never, ever count your chickens before they lay their eggs. Jeff, appreciate your stream as well, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Well, that sucked. I didn't like some of the substitutions made, especially the midfielders. Also showed off something I saw in the preseason tour from Newcastle. Yeah, well, here's the thing about Newcastle, right? I very much prefer Newcastle's starting 11 to their substitutes. I'd much prefer them. For example, Elliot Anderson, I don't think gets into Newcastle's midfield as a starter. Equally, Sean Longstaff. I think Harvey Barnes is good, but I prefer personally Anthony Gordan and Miguel Almiron. And then, of course, you've got Callum Wilson. I'd much rather prefer Isak. So the only way Newcastle makes subs is for fresh legs. I don't think their subs really improve their team, which is a worry, because you want to have a good squad. Newcastle's going to be playing Champions League football this season. Now, when the Champions League starts coming about, you're not going to be able to rotate your squad, meaning that players are going to be playing week in, week out. So if there's an injury, you're going to have your substitutions come in and play extended periods for your team. And I don't think Newcastle got the squad to compete on multiple fronts. That's my genuine opinion about it. Obviously, I could be proved wrong, but Newcastle needs to maximize points at this stage of the season, because when they get into the Champions League run, that's when they're going to start. The injuries going to start to pile up. I do believe, unfortunately, the fixture's going to pile up. Players going to get tired. It's going to be a lot of games in short periods, and that's when you're really going to have to stay afloat. So now is the time to maximize points while you've still got 1 game a week, because that fixtures comes fast and furious for those teams in Europe, and Newcastle do not want to start this season on slow start and then start having to rescue points towards the middle half of the season. Newcastle's backline is slow. Forwards with pace can run right by them. Exactly. Look, the thing about Liverpool is, right, I've been very critical of Liverpool, and I think rightly so, because I think Liverpool have lost a yard, especially from last season going forward. And I think their midfield has still got leaps and bounds to improve upon. I think this game has still highlighted that. But Liverpool's still got a dangerous front three. Very dangerous front three. No matter who's up there, whether it's Jota, Salah, Diaz, Gakpo, or Nunez, it's dangerous. And they showed that today, Liverpool. Because, look, Newcastle may have survived against any other team. They might have done. Apart from the top teams in this league, like the Arsenal, Cities, or Liverpool's, Newcastle may have survived. But you can never get ahead of yourself when you're defending against Mohamed Salah, you're defending against Diego Jota, and now it seems Darwin Nunez, because they will find a way to put that ball into the back of the net. That's what they do. Yes, of course, you might say that it was smash and grab from Liverpool. Yes, you might say it's not deserved. But football doesn't care about that. Football don't care about stats. Football don't care about possessions. The only thing that matters is the score in the top left corner. And Newcastle lost that game. And it's purely based off Liverpool. Liverpool were, well, I say purely based on Liverpool. It's purely based off Liverpool having a clinical attack. Because if Liverpool took off all their strikers, if Liverpool tried to defend deep or anything, especially at 1-1, then you could sit there and go, then they'd probably grind out a result. But Liverpool didn't do that. At 1-1, they still tried to find a winner. And then lo and behold, they did. It's smash and grab stuff, which is crazy because I think at 1-1, Liverpool would have been the happier teams. If at 1-1 you ask both managers who would be happier, I think Klopp would have been happier. But they end up winning the football match. It's absolutely crazy to see as well. Turbulent football match. That's why I saw in pre-season, slow back line didn't hurt them last week because City used lots of short passes to find an opening, not speed. Well, here's the thing, right? The game against Aston Villa sold me a dream. When I saw Newcastle dispatch Aston Villa, I thought, wow, this team's really good. But when you look at it from two ways, you probably think that Aston Villa were chasing the game too early and Newcastle just picked them off on the counter-attack. They still did concede an early goal to Aston Villa. At that stage, it was 1-1. Newcastle in the game against Man City, obviously, as you said, Jeff, it's the right point. Man City are going to run in behind from you. Man City are going to have the ball in front of you. You're going to be passing it left, right, centre, and you're just going to have to try and defend against that. Liverpool are a team that runs in behind. That's their game plan. It's transition stuff, especially with this new look Liverpool team. And you're right, Newcastle's backline did not have the pace to compete. Dan Burn, that left-hand side, is not fast. He's tall and strong, but he's not fast. Salah will beat him every day of the week in a foot race. Then you've got him covered by Sven Botman, who made a clinical mistake today, man. Absolutely criminal error that allowed Nunez to go through. Shaw's going to have to cover over then. Kieran Trippier obviously has been looking to get forward more near his defending. So there is a lack of balance, I do believe, in that Newcastle back line. Obviously, Matt Targett could be the long-time left-back for Newcastle, as well as, of course, the fact they've signed Lewis Hall from Chelsea. He could be there. But I do think Dan Burn can be improved upon because when you come up against teams in transition, he's not got the legs to keep up Dan Burn. I think he's done really, really well for Newcastle coming from Brighton, but overall, I just don't believe he's got the legs to compete big time in the Premier League this season. That's just my thoughts on it. Let's go right back to the start of the game, though, man. With the Trent Alexander-Arnold incident, do you guys think Trent Alexander-Arnold should have got sent off? Because in my opinion, yes, he should have. He has to go in that position, Trent Alexander-Arnold. Look, here's the thing, right? The first one was harsh to give a yellow. I personally believe that Trent actually got fouled by, I believe it was Anthony Gordan or was it Almer? I can't remember. I think he got fouled there. Obviously, the ref didn't give it, and out of frustration, Trent threw the ball away and got a yellow card for that. That's fine. You're given the yellow card. That's an isolated incident. The second one is a full stop yellow every day of the week. Tomiyasu got sent off for something very similar last weekend for Arsenal. And this week, it should have been a red card. I don't care if it's minute 7 or minute 97. That is a red card for Trent Alexander-Arnold. He thoroughly got away with that. But then again, karma exists, and I do believe it does. I do believe it exists because about 20 minutes later, Trent Alexander-Arnold, who maybe had that instant in his head still going around in circles, criminal touch, let the ball through him. And of course, from there, Anthony Gordan goes through to score goals. So, look, it's one of those things, man. And then, of course, you've got the red card from Van Dijk. Do you guys believe that's a red card? In my opinion, I thought it was a yellow. I do think it was a foul, but I think it was a yellow because, A, he wasn't in front of the goal, Alexander Isak. He still had to run through and goal and slot it away. B, I do think that he got a touch on the ball. Yes, he went through the man, but I do think Virgil van Dijk got a touch on the ball first. So I think that was very harsh to give a red card. I believe it was a foul and yellow card. That's just my personal opinion on it. Now, obviously, that Liverpool fans are still going to be annoyed by that Van Dijk decision because he will be missing for 3 games now, I do believe. But at the same time, they've gone on to win the football match. So that should be the least of their worries right now. Next week, they've got Aston Villa, which of course will be a big miss to not have Van Dijk in that game. But who cares, man? You've won this football match, and that's all that matters in my eyes. IMO Newcastle will suffer from mental fatigue once Champions League football catches up to them. I do agree with that. They play this rock and roll football, and it's very high flying. Can't survive only 11 players who can do that. 100% agree. And it's the point I made earlier, right? I said I don't believe Newcastle's bench is anywhere near the same level as their starting 11. Now, I've made this point in previous videos, and I do still believe, regardless of this result, that it stands true. This Newcastle team is closer to Jurgen Klopp's ideal Liverpool than Liverpool is right now. What I see in this Newcastle team is very synonymous with what I've been watching from Liverpool over the past 2-3 seasons, excluding this season and last season, where it is that frantic, energetic, powerhouse midfield, running up and down, and as you say, rock and roll football, Ahmed. Now, if Newcastle continue to play that, there's very few players that fit that system. Liverpool fell off once they lost Wijnaldum, once Fabinho lost his legs, once Henderson lost their legs. It was the same midfield, they just didn't have the legs. And if Newcastle want to keep playing this intense rock and roll football, as you say, the players need to be up for it. Tonali, Joe Linton, and Bruno Guimaraes are 100%. I think Joe Willock equally can play in that midfield. But can Elliot Anderson? I don't believe so. Can Sean Longstaff? I don't believe so. And that's your problem, because when the Champions League fixtures pile up and the fixtures come thick and fast and players get tired and injuries start to pile up as well, then you're going to have some squad rotation. And can Newcastle survive with squad rotation? Because their starting 11 is good. I do believe their starting 11 can compete with most teams in this Premier League. But can their substitutions survive? Because When Newcastle made their subs to change the game, I believe it made them significantly worse. You can't take off Isak for Callum Wilson. Wilson's a decent player, but Isak is levels above, in my opinion. Isak right now is the second best striker in the Premier League, in my eyes, behind Erling Haaland. He's a complete player up there. Obviously, didn't have his most effective game, but he's still a very good striker. Almiron as well, very good player. I thought Anthony Gordan was having a big effect on this game as well. So to make those changes, I think actually hindered Newcastle. Look, Newcastle are very used to playing up against teams that won't play a low block against them. When Liverpool got 10 men, they played a bit of a defensive. I wouldn't say it was as bad as a low block, but it was a very defensive formation from Liverpool. And Newcastle could not break that down. They got a taste of their own medicine. Newcastle actually looked like a team that ran out of ideas. And that's, to be fair, worrying for Eddie Howe, because in their first season under Eddie Howe last season, obviously not counting the season before when they were surviving relegation for the majority of the season. In their first season under Eddie Howe, their first full season, right? Newcastle was still a bit of a wild card, the joker in the pack. No one really knew what to expect from Newcastle, and they took a lot of teams by surprise. They were able to be furious with their attacks, fast and furious, flurries, and got a lot of goals in that way. Now people understand what Newcastle are about. The wild card factors kind of evaded them. That's demolished now. That's dissolved. People understand what Newcastle brings to the table. So there will be a lot of teams, especially a lot of the relegation threatened teams, that will play a low block against Newcastle. And the worrying thing is Newcastle ran out of ideas. Their midfield's good. Their midfield's competitive with Tonali, Bruno Guimaraes, and Joe Linton. But is there enough creativity in there? Almiron, Harvey Barnes, Anthony Gordan, and Isak are good, but is there enough creativity in there? Because Newcastle today, against the Liverpool team that was defending, all they needed to do was score one more goal. I know Liverpool made it 2-1 today, but I thoroughly believe if this game went to 2-0, Liverpool would have folded and collapsed. I do genuinely believe that. Because at 1-0, they were always in the game with 10 men. But at 2-0, you lose. Mentally, you're gone. Forget the whole scoreline. Just mentally, you're fatigued. The game's over. Because you know with 10 men, you got to get 2 goals. It's basically game over. So all Newcastle need to do with 60 minutes left on the clock is score one more goal, make it 2-0, and the game's done, in my opinion. But they didn't. They struggled. They were passing the ball around. They were looking okay. They had chances. I thought Almiron came very close multiple occasions. But they never looked like they were really cutting Liverpool open or carving through them or slicing through them like a hot knife through butter. It all just seemed very ordered. And Liverpool still, to an extent, seemed fairly comfortable. They seemed more comfortable after they went down to 10 men, if anything. They seem more comfortable to just sit back and defend and realize that this ain't going to be a game when we go tit for tat with them. This game, we're going to have to sit back, defend, and play off the counter-attack and hopefully get some goals via that. So I think Newcastle got to analyze themselves and go, look, you know what? We got to find a way to break down teams because other teams will play low block against us. They might not have 10 men, but they will come to defend. And today against the Liverpool team that with 10 men decide to sit back a bit more and defend and soak up pressure and play on the counter-attack, we struggled big time. Big time. And in the transition, we conceded 2 goals to 10 men. I was distraught at Arsenal for conceding a goal to 10 men Fulham. Newcastle just conceded 2 goals to 10 men Liverpool. So that's really got to hurt them. Aston Villa fell apart with key injuries just before and during the match. When Newcastle played Villa in the US tour, Aston Villa killed them with speed. Look, exactly. That's the thing, right? Speed will always be a factor in football. Always be a factor. If you're fast and if you're clinical, you will get goals. I don't care who it is, man. Those are the 2 buzzwords for strikers. Fast and clinical. And that was the case for Liverpool. Liverpool didn't have a load of chances today. Liverpool didn't have like about 20, 15 shots on goal. They had about 5 chances. But they had 2 very good chances. And Nunez took care of both of them. I don't think they were clear-cut. Oh my God, I expect Nunez to score. Genuinely, I thought Nunez would miss both. But he changed his style and he got 2 goals. And you have to applaud him for that. Because that is not synonymous with what Nunez does. He managed to score 2 fantastic goals. And I can't believe it. But if you're a Newcastle fan and Newcastle player, manager, it's a massive wake-up call, man. Massive, massive wake-up call. Trent Alexander-Arnold had a brief grab of Gordon's shirt when Gordon scored his goal too. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. And look, he got a little bit lucky, Trent Alexander-Arnold, I believe, to escape the red card in the first half. I do think it was a red. And if it was maybe 20 minutes later on the clock, I think he would have got a red card just because it was so early in the football match and the yellow cards were so close to each other. I think he got away with one. But yeah, look, it's karma, man. He escaped the red card and he gave away a goal. One of those things. Anyway, what a second half. 100% Luca, man. I appreciate joining the stream. Newcastle also didn't take advantage of the opportunities they did have in the second half. Almiron put one off the post. I remember that one. Yep. Barnes Wilson had a 2-on-1 break when Barnes held the ball for too long. Exactly. That's the thing about Newcastle, right? The chances were there. They just weren't clinical enough. They just weren't. And that's the thing, because when you're playing against 10 men, you will create chances. I've rarely ever seen a case where you've been playing against 10 men for 60 minutes and you don't create any chances. The chances will come. It's just about whether you can put them in the back of net. And as you said, Newcastle were very wasteful. Almiron obviously had a really good chance in the second half. He went on a bit of a mazy run and bent it, and it came off the post. And look, he was genuinely inches away from making the game 2-0 and game over. But I'm looking at that second chance as well, where Harvey Barnes, through on goal, just takes too long, dwindling on the football. Either pass it or shoot, but make a decision. Indecisiveness is the curse, man. You can't be indecisive. Shoot or pass. I don't care which one, but do something. Don't just dilly-dally on the football, because then you're going to give the ball away, and lo and behold, look what happens when things like that take place. Newcastle find a way to give up 2 goals, and Liverpool win the football game. Mali, appreciate joining the stream, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Evening, everyone. Newcastle were poor after 60 minutes. Yeah, the thing is about Newcastle is, right, they just got a little bit complacent. They lack professionalism. They just needed one more goal. All they needed was to make it 2-0, and the game would have been done. Bish, bash, bosh, finished. But they just did not find that second goal, and that's really got to be alarming for Eddie Howe, because you get that second goal, and the game is well and truly over. You get that second goal, and we're sitting here today and thinking, fair play Newcastle, man. Gone and beaten Liverpool. Yes, we'll debate the red card, but yeah, Newcastle gone on and won this game, done very well after a tough start to this season. But no, they give away 3 points. This ain't 1 point dropped or 2 points dropped. This is 3 points dropped for Newcastle United. That's how I see it. Terrible, man. They played well in the first half, sorry. Yeah, I believe they did as well. Complacency and poor concentration, 100%. That was Newcastle's downfall. They could have finished the game off early on. Exactly. They could have, but they didn't. Same with Arsenal. At 2-1, when Fulham had 10 men, finish the game, make it 3-1. Instead, we sit back and Fulham make it 2-2. Never, ever, ever count your chickens before they lay their eggs. Always my motto. They let Liverpool in it, 100%. I'm going to say second best. I'm going to say best second half season. Yeah, it was the best second half match I've seen this season as well. I do believe. I think that second half, obviously, the longer it went on, right? Am I the only one that had this funny thing Liverpool going to score? Just the longer it went on, it went into minute 60, it was still 1-0. Minute 70, it was still 1-0. I was sitting there thinking, hang on a minute, right? Salah's still on the pitch. Jota's come on the pitch. Nunez is now on the pitch. Liverpool will create something. There's no chance to go this whole match without getting a chance. And obviously, they had the chance when Jota played through Salah and he just took too long to shoot. That was the warning sign for me. That was the one that said, okay, look, that was your knock on the door saying the bailiffs are coming. The taxman's coming for you. That's what it was. And Newcastle didn't react. They kept at it. They thought that, oh, you know what? That was just one chance. We got away with it. We'll continue to push forward. But they lacked real balance. And the subs, I think, cost them the game a little bit, because when Elliot Anderson came on the pitch, when Sean Longstaff came on the pitch, they lacked their real tenacity in midfield. And they kind of lost the midfield battle, which should never happen with 10 men, by the way. You should never, ever, ever lose the midfield battle to 10 men. You should be winning every single second ball. You should be dominating possession. Every loose ball should be yours. But I think actually, once they made the subs, Newcastle lost that midfield battle to Liverpool, which is a real worry for them. But the main thing is, right, for Newcastle, at 1-0, and when the opposition's got 10 men, you should still at least have defensive solidity. That's your biggest thing. Even if you can't find that second goal, you don't concede. There's this funny saying, right, that goes, if you can't find a way to win a football match, don't lose it. Now, Newcastle, right, at 1-0 up against 10 men, you concede to make it 1-1. Fine. I know you're pushing to get the winner back, just like Man City did earlier today. But you can't lose that game. Make no mistake about it. I know it's 1-1, but you cannot lose that football match from that position. If it has to finish 1-1, it has to finish 1-1. This is still Liverpool. It's not a bad team to draw to. But you can no way in hell lose that football match. That has got to be out of this world. Impossible if you're Newcastle fan to digest. But they've gone and done it. And that's got to be the most worrying thing. We do play Liverpool till Christmas time, 23rd December. Yes. Liverpool versus Arsenal, 23rd December at Anfield. That's right. Yes, that first match with them, 100%. Fox Sports has bought the rights to Saudi League for 23-24 season. Well, there we go. Interesting stuff there. I hope we're better prepared for next Sunday. We can't lose to United. Yeah, look, if Arsenal play the system I expect us to play with the Ben White, Saliba, Gabriel, and Zinchenko, I think we'll be all right against United, to be honest with you. I think United still got some holes, just like we do. But look, I can't wait for that game. That'll be a massive football match. And of course, Liverpool play next week against Aston Villa, and they will be missing Virgil van Dijk for that game as well. Rami, appreciate you on the stream, my friend. Hope you're doing well. Complacency, 100%, man. That's the buzzword that's been going on today. Complacency on Newcastle's behalf. You don't think the game's done until the final whistle, especially against Mohamed Salah, Nunez, and Jota. Because Liverpool have got an electric front three. Yes, it's not the same front three that we've expected over previous seasons, the Mane, Firmino, Salah front three. Yes, the midfield's not the same as what we've been before. Yes, Liverpool in general are not what we've assumed of them for the previous few seasons. but they still do have some dangers to them. They still do have the ability to blitz you. And Liverpool did exactly that. They blitzed Newcastle United. So Newcastle got to sit there. They got to look around the dressing room and go, what the hell just happened? That should never in a million years have taken place. They've got to take their medicine. They've got to swallow the tough pill that they've just been dealt, but learn from it. There's still a long way to go in this season. Obviously, Newcastle have now started this season with 3 points out of 9, which is crazy to think after they were top of the table after one game, demolishing Aston Villa 5-1. It's now think that they now have only got 3 points and lost their last 2 games. It is going to be a bit of a worry for Eddie Howe, especially given that he knows the fixture list is only going to start to pile up from next week. But the main thing is, right, time to take a chill pill. It's not the time to throw your toys out the pram. It's not the time to throw the kitchen sink at it. Obviously, you lost this game today, but you were deserving, you could say, of the 3 points of the majority of the football match. Liverpool just did the unbelievable that no one would have fathomed. No one would have expected Liverpool to do this, to win this football match, let alone even draw it. So the fact that Newcastle were able to actually play really well in the first few minutes, the fact that Newcastle were actually able to dominate for the majority of this match, I think Eddie Howe will be pleased with that. Obviously, the end result, he won't be pleased. And obviously now this is going to give Newcastle a bit of a reputation as a team that can't play against another team of 10 men. Because trust me, it can be hard to play against a team of 10 men. It's the fallacy that when a team goes under 10 men, it's easy to play against them. Yes, in most occasions it probably will be. But if the team of 10 men stays compact and stays grounded, it can actually be much harder to play against 10 men. Trust me when I say that. Especially because that team gets a bit of a newfound belief and dignity, and they start to have a bit more character about them, and they all start to dig in there, have this like brotherhood mentality. So it's an absolute false that playing against 10 men makes the game 10 times easier, especially when that team with 10 men has got electric front three like Liverpool do. Because now that all that was going to happen for Liverpool was that they were going to just neglect their midfield and just defend and then just loop up to the strikers and hope something magical happens from there. Because they just completely bypassed the midfield. Liverpool. That's how they were going to get their goals. And they did that. That's how they did it, man. Both their goals came from balls over the top in a way. Salah obviously with a beautiful through ball to Nunez for the second one. The first one as well, ball over the top. Botman misplaces his touch and through goes Nunez. That's how it is, man. But for Newcastle, look, you got to obviously look at yourself and go, this result should not happen. It's unacceptable. Flat out unacceptable for this to happen. But look, I look at Newcastle's fixtures. They got some tough games coming up, man. Obviously, after the Aston Villa game, I was very high up on Newcastle. They were able to do very well this season. But these last 2 games have been a bit of a kick in the teeth. Has been a bit of a shot down to reality. Look, they play Brighton away next week, and that'll be a tough game, especially given that Brighton just lost 3-1 to West Ham. They'll have the bit between their teeth. Then they play Brentford at home. That'll be another tough game. But then after that, you're looking at Sheffield United, Burnley, West Ham, Palace, and then Wolves in your 5 games afterwards. So there's still some friendly fixtures for Newcastle United. So they got to make sure that they remain confident in what they're doing. They obviously don't look to throw the toys out the pram and think the season's over and everyone around the club has got a bitter taste in their mouth. It's not the time for that. I think Newcastle still got good things to fight for this season, especially given that they've got Champions League, which I can't remember the last time Newcastle have been in that competition. So, look, if you're Newcastle United, it's not the time to panic. Not the time whatsoever to panic, man. Obviously, it's a bad result today. Very bad result. A criminal result, I would say, because you can't lose to a team that's got 10 men after being 1-0 up. I don't care if you're playing Man City or playing Sheffield United. You can't lose to a team like that, man. And Newcastle did that. But there was enough in this game to realise that Newcastle had the chances to kill off this game. They just didn't. And if you're Liverpool Football Club, obviously losing Van Dijk for the next 3 games will hurt. Obviously, the manner in which you started the game will worry Jurgen Klopp. But you've just won a football match away from home with 10 men for 60 minutes. Don't tell me that doesn't galvanise your team. Don't tell me the dressing room is not buzzing right now if you're Liverpool Football Club. These are the type of wins that gives you that momentum. These are the type of wins that makes you brothers, man. These are the type of wins that you want to see, especially early in the season, because that can galvanise your team. Liverpool have gone from starting the season with a draw at Chelsea, and from, in my eyes, a really underwhelming draw. They're now on 7 points out of 9. Liverpool are technically in a title race form right now. They're level on points with Arsenal and have had a much harder run to the season than Arsenal have had. They've already gone to play Chelsea and Newcastle. So are Liverpool now ahead of Arsenal in terms of title contenders? I'm not too sure. I could genuinely believe it. I think on the quality on the pitch, I don't believe so. But the results they're getting, they're just beating Newcastle and of course got a draw against Chelsea as well. They've had tougher fixtures than Arsenal and still managed to pull out some results. So Liverpool got to be absolutely delighted with how it's turned out for them. They obviously in their next game, they play Aston Villa, which will be a tough football match because we know Unai Emery's side's got a bit of momentum now. And also we know that they'll be missing Van Dijk for 3 games. But if you look at Liverpool's fixtures, right, I believe that the 3 games they're missing Van Dijk in is going to be Aston Villa, Wolves, and then West Ham. It's not tough games. It's winnable matches, all three of them. So Liverpool, I think they're looking all right. I think they've got a good chance this season, man. I definitely believe so. It could be Nunez's season. However, I'm not sure whether he's going to score more goals than Nketiah, though. Well, here's the thing about Nunez, right? He took a year to adapt. We were very harsh on Nunez at the start of last season, myself included. I think the problem was, right, Nunez and Erling Haaland both got signed to the Premier League. They're both the strikers, the two best clubs in the Premier League, the Man City and the Liverpool, both signed a star striker. Who's going to be the better one? Both signed for 70 million or so. And it was no competition. Erling Haaland blew Nunez out the water. Nunez got a red card in his home debut against Crystal Palace. And I think after that, Nunez lost his head a little bit. He was not the same player. He realized that he was nowhere near Erling Haaland's ability. And Liverpool, obviously, as a team, fell off last season. But he's had a season to adapt. It is very rare that players go into a new club, especially into a new league, and hit the ground running. It doesn't always happen. What Erling Haaland did last season is a freak case. This isn't the norm. Normally, you take a season or two to adapt. And what Nunez has had is he's had a rude and rough and tough awakening to life in the Premier League last season. And maybe now he's going to hit the ground running. Obviously, he clearly worked his game in the summer and the off season because his finishing's got 10 times better. Because I would never, ever have expected Nunez to score that. Even when he went from goal in the first one, I was waiting for him to put that miles wide. Be honest, were you as well? Be 100% honest right now. Liverpool fan, not Liverpool fan. I don't care. Did you think Nunez was scoring that first chance? Because I didn't. I gave him no chance. I thought he was blazing that well wide. Because that's what we expect from Nunez. He's never been labelled a clinical finisher. But that was a fantastic goal. Brilliant finish. Honestly, he pinpointed it into the corner. Pope was fantastic with his positioning. He got his angles right. He got his near post right. He dived at the right time. The only way Nunez was scoring was if it came off the post and in. And as I said earlier on in the stream, it was as if he placed it with his hand. It was that accurate. It was that accurate. He just swept it into that bottom corner. What a fantastic finish. But that wasn't a one-off. This second goal was just as good. Swept it home as well. So Nunez went 2 for 2, man. 2 fantastic goals. And look, if that man improves his finishing, we know he's got the pace. We know he's got the tenacity. We know he's got the strength as well. If he can improve his finishing, he will be a very good striker for Liverpool. And maybe the type of striker that they've lacked since Firmino's started to fall off. If Trent was Japanese and plays for Arsenal, he would have been sent off. Is that a dig at Tomiyasu? That's a funny one, man. Hey, Rory, will Salah go to Saudi? Will Salah go to Saudi? I think he should. I don't know whether he will, but if I was Salah, I would go, man. I would go, bro. You've done all you need to do in the Premier League. You've won the Premier League. You've won the Champions League. Get your money and head to Saudi, brother. Nunez still young, 100%, man. Anthony is crap compared to Nunez. Yeah, I'm not a fan of Anthony either. I think he's very redundant in what he does. I think he's a player that's not efficient. I think he's a player that's not pragmatic. I think Man United have wasted 100 million on him, and there's so many better ways you can spend money than signing Anthony, in my opinion. That's just my thoughts on it. I like Nunez myself as well. I think Nunez is a really top player, man. Really good player. I call it, obviously, he got labeled Captain Chaos. The thing about Nunez is, right, I made this point about Nunez earlier on in this season, also back end of last season. I can't see Nunez playing for Man City or Arsenal because he's just too erratic. He's too erratic because you don't know what to expect from him. And that doesn't really fit the Man City, Pep Guardiola, and Mikel Arteta Arsenal blueprint. They like predictable players. They like players that will fit a system and can be fluid and know exactly what their roles dictates from them. Nunez isn't that. Nunez is that wild card. He's that joker in the pack. He does things that no one expects. And it could be a positive, but also it could be a negative. And I feel like Liverpool need to thrive off Nunez. Games like this is exactly what Nunez thrives off. 10 men, where you're playing on the counter-attack, where it's scrappy, where you're fighting against Newcastle United. And I think this is a perfect type of occasion for Nunez. When they go to play Aston Villa next week, that's probably not Nunez's type of game. Nunez doesn't like breaking down teams. Nunez doesn't like playing against low blocks. That's not his style. Where Nunez thrives is playing against teams that will push up the pitch and he has to run in behind and play counter-attacking stuff. That's where he's at his real best, Nunez. So I've got to give him a heap of credit today. If he can obviously adapt to playing in this Liverpool team that will play home and away, games equally where they will have to attack and be the team on the front foot, but also just like today, be on the back foot sometimes and play transitional football, he could be a real good player for Liverpool. But I just worry that Nunez has only mastered one art to the game. The game today was perfect for Nunez, but will playing against a low block like Aston Villa next week be the same? I don't believe so. I think Nunez will struggle against a team like that. Nunez will play well against teams that want to push up the pitch and leave space in behind because that's where he's at his best. That's where he always makes his runs in behind. If he can add the clinicality to his game, boy, he'll be a top player. But obviously, we'll have to wait and see what happens there. I don't know why they took off Diaz for Gomez. Same, in my opinion. When they went down 10 men, I feel like Gomez was the one who should have been substituted. 100% agree with that one. I was screaming for Gomez to come off the pitch. Sorry, I was screaming for Gakpo to come off the pitch. But I understood it because what happened is Gakpo basically slotted into the team to become like that extra body midfield and create that diamond in midfield. And then Salah would basically just stick up front and they would just neglect the wingers. So I understood it in that extent. Obviously, it works. At the end of the day, you still managed to win the football match. So I don't think Klopp's got any worries or qualms with what happened there. But I do agree with you in that sense. I do think that it probably should have been Gakpo to come off rather than Luis Diaz. That's just my thoughts on it. But yeah, look, let's be honest with Liverpool, right? Liverpool have got Newcastle's number as well. Let's not forget this. Liverpool did the double over Newcastle last season. Liverpool, for some reason, do very well against Newcastle. I don't know what it is. It's just like Tottenham always seem to beat Man City. They've just got the number of a Newcastle. Eddie Howe must be scratching his head thinking, how can I not beat this Jurgen Klopp Liverpool team? I think he's beaten them once with his Bournemouth side. They did the double over Newcastle last season. And again, today, Newcastle were the better team. Everything was set up for Newcastle to win. They got a red card to one of their best players, Van Dijk. They were 1-0 up. They were at home. Liverpool looked demolished. They looked defeated. Van Dijk was swearing at the officials. They looked crushed. Yet they still found a way to win the football match. Newcastle and Eddie Howe must be absolutely bamboozled. He must be shocked to pieces. What's happened? He can't believe it. I can't believe it. But it's just a lesson in life and in football. Stay in the game, man. Stay in the game. Because with 10 minutes left, anything can happen. And I knew it, man. Because it got to halftime and it was still 1-0. I said, you know what? It's not an awful result for Liverpool. Get to halftime at 1-0. Because around the 40th minute, I sat there and I imagined what I would be saying if in the halftime dressing room if I was Jurgen Klopp. And I sat there and said, look, if I'm Jurgen Klopp, this is what I say to my team, right? Yes, we're 1-0 down. Yes, we've got 10 men. Yes, Newcastle's going to come fast and furious in the second half. But we've got firepower of our own. Salah's on the pitch. I'm going to obviously make the substitutions. Jota will come on, etc. Nunez, you'll have your chance if we're still in it. So, guys, stay in the game. Because Newcastle, while it stays 1-0, will get nervous. And while they get nervous, they will make mistakes. So as long as we stay in the game and don't concede to make it 2-0, we've always got a chance. And the longer this game goes on, the more of a chance we have to equalise and less of a chance, and more of a chance Newcastle have to make a mistake. So I think the biggest thing for Liverpool was staying in that game, and they did exactly that. It got to minute 50, and it was still 1-0. It got to minute 60, and it was still 1-0. It got to minute 70, and it was still 1-0. They got the warning sign when Salah almost scored, when he took too long to pull the trigger, and Botman came across and cleared it. That was the warning sign. And then lo and behold, 5-10 minutes later, Nunez goes through and goal after a Botman mistakes and makes it 1-1. At that point, Newcastle got a little bit of cold feet. Thought, you know what? It's 1-1. Oh no, we've sacrificed our lead. We're playing against 10 men. We have to try and score a goal now. They went through the kitchen sink at it. And look what happened. They got picked on the transition, on the counter-attack, down the other end. Nunez scores the goal to win the game, man. That's football and that's life. You don't take your chances, you don't win the football match. And if you're Liverpool, they were assassins today. Everything that I believe Arsenal lacked against Fulham and everything that I believe Man City showed today against Sheffield United, Liverpool showed it as well. It's a quality that every top team has. Every top team is cold-blooded. I call them assassins. The assassin mentality. Kill off a game. There's a book on my shelf, right, called Shoe Dog. You might not be able to see because it's very dark. It's from the creator of Nike, Phil Knight. And one of the memoirs one thing he said in his memoirs, one of the blueprints that Nike has is we don't care about the process, we care about the result. And that was Liverpool today. We care about the result. 3 points at any cost. 3 points if you got 10 men. 3 points if you got 9 men. 3 points with 10% possession or 90% possession. 3 points is all we ordered when coming into this game today. And just like a business decision, we came away with the 3 points, man. It was a business trip for Liverpool. They came in. Things went against them. The start was absolutely terrible, but they still came out with the 3 points. Job done. Heading back to Merseyside with all 3 points. 7 points on the board. Really good start to the season for Liverpool. Much better than last year. So they've got to be absolutely delighted with how things turned out. And Jurgen Klopp, of course, will dispute the red cards. They probably will appeal it. Who knows if they win the appeal? They obviously won it for Alexis McAllister. But either way, you've got to take the 3 points for your Liverpool Football Club. That's absolutely got to delight Jurgen Klopp. Hand purple, blue peas. I don't know what that means. But I can see on the YouTube chat that it's like an emoji. I appreciate you joining the stream, my friend Madhu. Arsenal interesting for Kayo tomorrow, apparently. Yeah, I've seen reports about Arsenal looking to obviously bring in a new centre-back. Other ones as well, like Eric Garcia. I'm not too sure right now who Arsenal are going to bring in, to be fair. I would rather see Arsenal bring the centre-back, in my opinion. So I'd rather see Arsenal bring in the left-back, in my opinion, than the centre-back. I think we've got Gabriel that can do really well in that centre-back position, that just sitting on the bench. But who knows, man? The main thing against for Arsenal is bounce back against Manchester United, because that will be a tough game. We know United are fresh off winning 3-2 against Forest after being 2-0 down. We're obviously fresh off the disappointment of drawing to Fulham. That'll be a really good game. This time next week, Super Sunday. I might as well promote this channel as you said it, RD12. Next week, some more streams coming to the channel. Let me pull up the Premier League fixtures so I can tell you exactly what games I will be streaming next week. So we've got Luton West Ham Friday night. We'll most likely be streaming on this channel. Then we've got Brighton Newcastle. We'll be streaming after that one. And then we've got the Super Sunday. Liverpool Aston Villa. I won't guarantee I'll have a stream for that one, but 100% chance there'll be a stream for Arsenal versus Manchester United next Sunday, 4:30 p.m. kickoff. Straight after, come here to Y Football. Set your bell notifications so you do not miss it. Arsenal versus Manchester United, the Super Sunday game of the week. But yeah, back to the stream. Right. Another thing I want to touch upon is the red cards in football. There's been so many red cards this season. I think there's been 9 to start this Premier League season. After, 29 games? That's a lot of red cards, guys. That's a game basically every 3 games. That's a red card basically every 3 games. Do you guys like it? I personally think that the quality of the Premier League last season was at its all-time best. The games last season were so good. Like, there was genuinely a good 10 games where it was some of the best football matches I've watched in my life. Liverpool versus Tottenham when they won 4-3. Liverpool versus Arsenal at Anfield. Newcastle versus Man City at St. James's Park, etc. These were just fantastic games of football to watch. I feel like the quality this season has slightly got worse, just because based off like they've removed certain things from the game, which you would have thought made the game better, but it's actually made it a little bit worse because players are not being as... Players are being a bit more reserved now. They understand that if you throw the ball away, if you make rush challenges, you're going to get punished more now with red cards, yellow cards. Refs are quicker to bring the cards out nowadays. So I think it's actually made the quality of football slightly worse because it's made the defenders less aggressive, I do believe. When aggressive football, in my opinion, has always been the best. A couple of seasons ago, the Premier League changed the standard and allowed for more physical battle, and it was genuinely one of the best decisions they've made in previous years. Because I remember a period about 3-4 seasons ago where any contact would be a foul. Any contact. Now I believe they've set the bar higher where you're allowed to go in with crunching challenges, and as long as you win the ball, they will let play continue, the referees. And that's one of the best decisions they've made. I think this is a bit of a step too far with the whole tactical fouling, yellow card. I understand if it's tactical foul, give the yellow cards more often, 100%. But they're giving red cards and yellow cards too quickly, in my opinion, in certain instances. For example, that red card for Van Dijk today, I don't believe was a red card. I think that's a yellow card. And I genuinely do believe that last season, that would have been given a yellow card as well. Just because this new threshold with like last man and all this stuff, they've given it as a red card. But that's just my personal opinion on it. I think that it's going to take a lot of time to adapt, just like anything in life. But I do think they've been slightly harsh with the red cards so far this season, if I'm completely honest with it, you guys. But yeah, also let me know your thoughts in live chat if you're new around here. I'm going to start to wrap up this stream very shortly. Liverpool fans, how are you feeling? What's your aspirations for Liverpool this season? I think Liverpool genuinely could fight for a title. I think, obviously, quality in the pitch-wise, it's not there. But if Arsenal are dropping points to Fulham and Liverpool beating Newcastle with 10 men, you can't tell me Liverpool aren't in the title race, man. Liverpool have played their first 3 games, which is Chelsea away, Newcastle away, and Bournemouth sandwiched between them at home. And have got 7 points out of 9. That's a good return. That's a very good return. Arsenal got 7 points out of 9, playing Forest, Palace, and Fulham. Who's got the tougher fixtures? It's night and day, in my opinion. Obviously, there's still games to go this season, and it's still very early. And I do believe that Arsenal have shown better quality on the football pitch so far. But Liverpool haven't looked bad. And look, after they went 1-0 down, went down to 10 men, I was ready to see Newcastle go up to 6 points and Liverpool obviously drop points. But the fact they were able to win this game is a crazy positive feeling for Liverpool Football Club. So they've got to be absolutely delighted with how things turned out. But yeah, I do appreciate everyone that's joined the stream today. I'm going to start to wrap it up now. My next stream, as I said, will hopefully be next Friday for Luton versus West Ham United. The first game at Kenilworth Road for Luton. If you are new around here and do appreciate Premier League streams after basically every single televised match, you know exactly what to do. Make sure you subscribe down below. We're to 5,000 subscribers. And also hit the bell notification button so you never miss a future video on this channel. If you just joined now, scroll right back to start the stream so you can hear all about my thoughts regarding Newcastle 1, Liverpool 2. Drop a like down below so the stream gets out to more people on the algorithm. I've been wonderful. I appreciate you guys all for tuning in, and I hope to catch you all in my next one. Take care.